When you say who needs to step up, over decades, our people have been trying to stand up in different periods of time. And it's not a problem that's simply fixed overnight when you think about the social problems in our society that are impacting on our young people right across the spectrum of criminal justice.
So, Raewyn, Lance O'Sullivan said that we need to step up and see if there are signs we need to do something. Does that resonate with you?
Oh, absolutely. I've always believed that we need to be brave enough to stand there and say to someone, I don't like what you're doing to that baby. Give me that baby here and I'll look after her. And then when you sort yourself out, you come get your baby back. I think that we all need to be the aunties. We all have those aunties and uncles that will tell you off, hug you when you're sad, give you a telling off when you're bad. We need those aunties to step up in all our communities and be the village, because a lot of our people that are out there don't have the village around them to support them. I was in court 2 weeks ago with supporting two young mums who were also state wards to try and get their children back. Now, there was no one there for them. There was no whānau because they've been disconnected. There was no social worker because they've been discharged from that care a long time ago. They were there on their own. It was really sad.
I support the kōrero around fathers and around our males and our rangatira of our hapori alongside our māreikura. And so we need more pono kōrero with ourselves. And I say everybody needs to step up, system, OT, everybody, but I'm focusing on ourselves, looking into ourselves. I sit with our maraes, with our hapu every month, and we're talking about how do we have those tough conversations. Go and talk to your brother, go and talk to your sons, your aunties, your sisters, those who are either distributing, and have the kōrero a whānau first. It's uncomfortable. I think for our community, we're just in a situation where enough is enough.
So Wally, for over 40 years, you've been a policeman and been leading development of strategies that I guess would be more collegial or collaborative with iwi and with community leaders. So what's your response to any call that, okay, let's just bring in the police and just do the shock treatment?
Police have a strategy. They have to respond in the first instance if the balloon goes up. But then there's the short-term to medium interventions. So what's happening in that community? How are they planning? How are they getting the right information? How are they getting the right intelligence? And how do they deploy to beat that demand or that situation at that point in time? So that intelligence needs to come from community. So when you're talking about police and iwi, you're absolutely right. It's a two-way street. And we can't be mutually exclusive of each other. We've got to work together.
So Money, Shane Jones was up there supporting your call for, I guess, a bit of shock treatment. Why did you make that call?
We need more baseline police. There's not even enough of that. Around those raids, that's police's job. I'm not a vigilante group but what I really, in the context to that, have wanted was, prior to those surges and those raids, there was a high wastewater count. Immediately after, that dropped off by half. That's what I want for Kaikohe. I love Kaikohe. I love our towns. And so we're in that crisis where we need that short sharp. I've also met with community providers and looked at what happened in Ōpōtiki and how do we prevent the fallout with our whānau and tamariki. So there's awesome people in our towns, but ignoring the hardcore, it wasn't going to make that. I think we'll be better off in the long run.
Wally, where do we go from here? Because yes, the police can come in and do the short, sharp shift, but what else needs to happen?
It's not just a police issue. It's not just a government issue. It's not just those government agencies. However, if they're sitting in those positions and they've got all the information to be able to drive the support services into iwi entities, then that's what we should be doing. It doesn't abrogate one or the other of their responsibility to step up. And so, you think about the things that we've done over the years, Te Pai Oranga, looking at giving our people a second chance, and developing programs up in Catalya, down in Whangarei, across Taranaki, right through the region. That is a program that actually identified the problems that our people were going through without having to kick the doors in. Once those people came into the system, and of course shoplifting was the most prevalent offence that you could pick up in this whole piece. And so, you know, when we sat down and said to the police, you know, okay, you've arrested that woman for shoplifting. She's had 7 previous convictions for shoplifting. You know, so why would you lock her up an 8th time without understanding the reasons why? And often it was no kai in the cupboards, kids are hungry, no employment in there, you know, mother getting beaten, all of the stuff, all of those issues that of social harm around family harm, kids going to school, you know, feeling as though they've lost their self-worth, the neglect, the abuse, all of those things come in. And I know at the moment it's absolutely raw to think about how do we step up to support the families in our community who are suffering under the weight of this horrific homicide in Kaikohe. When you think about the red flags, somebody in those families knows. They know what's happening, but do they have the courage to step out? And do we have the courage to step in?
Because somebody in that situation up in Kaikohe, somebody must have seen something in the past and not said anything.
And do you think, Raewyn, that some of the whānau that you support, that they're likely to bring the police?
They're not likely to call the police, and that's the unfortunate thing. They'll look for, I mean, look at that. Some of these mums, they call someone that they knew when they were a teenager going through child, youth and family. I think that they need to have definitely some other form of gathering support.
We're talking at this point in time, how do we create platforms within hapu and marae that are like a call helpline, like a anonymous call, and actually kaumātua have a really important role to play here as well. They can traverse across that concept of ngāking because they've had a life experience and they're looking after mokopuna. And so I'm having conversations with kaumātua, happy to have the kōrero. We need to make sure it's safe though. If I can just touch on the hikoi and Catalya, it was so emotional. That hikoi was about celebrating that tamariki, that taonga, he tapu te mokopuna. And so I just really don't want to throw shade on everybody who has to contribute. Just get over ourselves and get to doing the solutions, whether you're government or not, or whānau or not. Kick up the dust, empty the tank on this. Everyone in the now, but the generations to come will be better all.
Last words, Raewyn?
So my thoughts are be brave, you know, be that auntie, be that uncle that that says to someone, hey bro, you know, you need some help. Give me your baby until, you know, you get some help. I'll look after your baby.
Wally?
And I think that alternative justice program around getting people in front of our own people who can provide the services, can provide follow-up. It's a safety mechanism. It has all the key elements of providing aroha, tautoko, manaaki to not only the offender, but to the offender's family and also the victims. So this is a way of bringing that all together. Otherwise, we'll be sitting here in another 5 years saying, what are the alternative pathways to keep our people out of prison if they commit crime? You know, are we the architects of interventions that are going to prevent this long term? Are we simply the interior decorators that are going to step up when, you know, when the going gets tough and suddenly we all come out and say, oh my God, how did that happen?